Hello everybody, David Tambo here, and today I'm going to be talking about a certain horror game with a certain horror game mascot. Five Nights at Freddy's, an indie horror franchise that was released back in August of 2014. A franchise beloved by many. It's also a franchise that has released over a dozen games, a dozen books, spin-offs, fan games, a Fazbear fanverse initiative, a Fright Dome attraction. And dude, looking back at this, I remember being so hyped for the Fright Dome attraction back in the day. And not too long ago, a movie based on the hit 2014 horror game franchise came out almost a year ago back in October of 2023. Has it been almost a year already? Holy moly, time flies fast. Even 2 months ago now, the franchise already celebrated its 10-year anniversary. If you guys look back to what the franchise used to be back in 2014 to now, it's absolutely insane how big this franchise has gotten. Although today, I'm not going to be talking about the franchise's history or talking about the games. Instead, I'm going to be talking about the movie and the movie's early history. Especially with the film's 1-year anniversary coming up, and the second movie filming very soon at the time making the script, I really want to do something very special, which is me talking about the film's early development, directors who were originally going to direct the movie, multiple rejected scripts Scott had, and I'm also going to discuss how the movie was saved from being cancelled and scrapped, especially with one special director that made the movie possible, and gave the FNaF franchise a big promising future. And this story about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie will absolutely go down as one of the best early development stories in history. Okay, so before we begin, I want to quickly say I'm not going to talk about almost every single news and hints we got for the movie during the early years, because it will make this chapter in this video way too long. And I also want to make most chapters that are not too long, but pretty much simple. Okay? Okay, let's go. So let's go all the way back in April of 2015, literally several weeks before Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was announced. Man, where did those times go? So all the way back in April 7, 2015, literally 3 days before my birthday, it was announced that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was finally getting a movie treatment. It was also announced that Roy Lee, Seth Grahame-Smith, and David Kattenberg were originally going to produce it. It was also announced that Warner Brothers were originally going to make the movie. And at the time, when I heard about Warner Brothers being involved, I was really excited. Although nowadays, I'm glad that Warner Brothers is no longer involved in the movie. Especially what they've been going through recently. And even with the Minecraft movie trailer that came out not too long ago. And dude, you can tell that Scott is so honored about Warner Brothers no longer being involved in a movie based on his franchise right now. Also, in this news article, Grahame-Smith said, and I quote, "We're looking forward to working with Scott to make an insane, terrifying, and weirdly adorable movie." And looking back at his words when he said weirdly adorable, that quote he did about the movie definitely aged well. But we'll get back to that later. But trust me, it's gonna take a long time to get to that road, my friends. So about a few months later, on July 28, 2015, it was announced that Gil Kenan was going to be the director for the movie at that time period. For those of you that don't know who Gil Kenan is, Gil directed Monster House, and I haven't seen that movie in like years, although I gotta watch that for Spooky Month this year. And he apparently directed 2 recent Ghostbusters films, although I haven't seen Ghostbusters Afterlife yet. I heard it's pretty good. And he even directed Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, even though I've heard mixed reactions, and I heard apparently didn't do well at the box office. But sadly, Gil Kenan did step out of the film back in 2017, but we'll get back to that shortly. Also, about a day later, Gil did post some big animatronic eyes that are from Jim Henson's Creature Shop, which was basically a tease for the movie. Like, dude, I remember seeing the old FNaF movie teaser hints that Gil posted back in 2015. And to any of you watching this, you remember seeing those old FNaF movie teaser hints that Gil posted back in the day, don't you? I do! I most certainly do! And dude, looking back at this, I feel like a 13-year-old kid all over again. Also, to make the 2015 timeline short and simple, Gil did post more images at Jim Henson's Creature Shop, And that is crazy that 7 years later, when Blumhouse officially took over the project, we would finally be seeing the Jim Henson Company actually building Freddy and the gang for the movie. And I'll come back to that later. Also, he apparently filmed at a Chuck E. Cheese with weird creepy audio in the background, and the footage being very slow. That was strange that Gil literally filmed at a Chuck E. Cheese just to hint for the FNaF movie. So anyways, let's fast forward to the year 2017. Although I regret the year 2017. Back in January 31st, 2017, Scott did a Steam post regarding the movie. Yeah, remember those times when Scott posted news and comments on Steam? Where did those times go, huh? So in this post, Scott talks about why the movie has been having delays, and Scott also announced he'll be involved with the movie in day one. And he also said he wants the movie to be something that the fanbase will enjoy. And he was absolutely right about the fanbase loving the movie like 6 years later. Even though I know the FNaF movie does have a few problems, which I'll talk about later on. But at least it was absolutely worth the 8-year wait. And at least that Scott and all of us are thankful that the movie finally happened. So about 2 months later, on March 30th, 2017, it was announced that Blumhouse got the official rights for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And even Scott posted our first teaser image of the movie of the Blumhouse logo on the screen, and Freddy having his own director's chair. When I looked at Blumhouse and saw what movies they've done in the past, I thought this was a very good choice. Although around this time back in 2017, that was the only news and updates we had for the movie in a while. Although back in June of 2017, Gil announced that he's no longer directing the movie. Although I still think Gil would have done a great job directing it. Especially he does have love for horror and everything. And after that update, that was pretty much the only news and updates we had in a while. We were waiting and waiting and waiting for more news and updates, and Scott Cawthon and Jason Blum didn't say a word. So let's fast forward on February 12, 2018, literally several days before Ultimate Costume Night was announced. It was announced that Chris Columbus was going to be the new director for the movie at the time. Sadly, he did step out of the movie like 3.5 years later, and I'll basically come back to that. And later on, back in August 8th of 2018, during FNAF's 4-year anniversary, Scott Cawthon had an interview with my boy Dalko, and also, hi Dalko if you're watching this. Anyways, during Scott's interview, Dalko asked Scott how the movie was coming along, and Scott did talk about some rejected ideas that were going to be in the movie, like plushies taking Manhattan. And looking back at this, can you imagine a plushies take Manhattan Easter egg for the next movie? That could be cool. And I'm going to skip 2019 timeline because we didn't really have that much news or updates for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie that year. Even though we had a lot of FNaF content that year. Dude, 2019 was such a great year for me. And as for 2020, it was pretty slow for the movie, honestly. Even though there's a few things I want to talk about. So back in June of 2020, 3C Films actually did talk to Jason Blum about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And 3C Films, if you're watching this, hey 3C Films, how you doing? So 3C Films asked Jason if there's any FNAF Movie Chrome updates. And that's what he said, by the way. And Jason said that the movie is rapidly moving forward, and he also said that he's very confident about it. And I remember when I heard this, I was really excited. So later on in November of 2020, Scott made a post on the official Five Nights at Freddy's subreddit, and he even trolled when he said there was bad news regarding the movie. And I can't believe Scott had to troll us like that. Anyways, on this Reddit post, Scott talks about old ideas and rejected scripts that were going to be for the movie. And I'm not going to talk about every script in this video, because, you know, it'll make this chapter in this video way longer than I want it to be. So I'll give you guys a link to Scott's Reddit post in the description. And Scott announced he was going to do the Mike script, and then he said there was no bad news, and he also announced that the movie was going to start filming in spring of 2021. Although looking back, that last sentence so didn't age well. So later on, spring of 2021 arrives, and people were like, hey Scott, what's going on? Why isn't the movie filming? And people theorized that the movie script they were going to use was scrapped, and yep, they were right about that. Because on September 29, 2021, 3 years ago now, it was announced that Chris Columbus was stepping out of the project. And you know, it was sad to see Chris go, but it was his decision, and I respect that. And Jason Blum actually did respond to the disappointing news, but he reassured everyone by saying, and I quote, "We're a long way from giving up, and I'm confident eventually I will figure it out." Also, there was another quote that Jason said in this article when it was announced that Chris was stepping down. So to quote Jason Blum, "We've written multiple scripts, and we've got where we're threading a needle, which is doing justice to Five Nights at Freddy's and making Scott happy. The only way that we should go about it is giving Scott, I don't want to do something that Scott doesn't like. Let me say that in a different way. I don't have the right to do anything Scott doesn't like. Basically, Scott has kind of like the equivalent of Final Cut, and it's taken longer than I hoped to get the right story." And I agree with Jason. Like, if I were Jason, if I was working with Scott to make a movie based on his games, I would absolutely do the same by making sure I don't add things that Scott wouldn't like, and making sure the story for the movie is just right for Scott. And looking back at this quote, this is definitely a huge W on Jason Blum. Him making sure that the FNaF movie is just right, and making sure that Scott truly likes the story and the script. Definitely huge props to Jason Blum. Although around this time, that was when most fans of the franchise were starting to have doubts on the movie, and thinking that the movie was never gonna happen. And yeah, that was a really rough time for the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. Like, whenever we were close to filming, or scripts almost being the official product, it's almost like that this movie was never gonna happen. But, later on in 2022, that was the time when the Five Nights at Freddy's movie started to see the light of day. And here is where the movie started to officially happen. And this next chapter is where the movie started to be saved from being scrapped and cancelled.
We are dangerously close.
So on January 15, 2022, a month after Security Breach came out, and almost a month after Christmas time, Jason Blum tweeted on Twitter, which was basically a Q&A tweet, that way people can ask him questions. And I knew people were going to ask him about any updates for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and I was right. And Jason did actually respond to some questions from people that asked him how the FNaF movie was coming along. And there was a person on Twitter that asked Jason how the movie was coming along, and Jason Blum did respond, and he also tweeted out this reassuring message. "It really is still coming. I promise, guys." In a complete unexpected surprise, and after many months of wondering if the movie was officially gonna happen or not, Jason Blum revealed our first exciting news for the movie back in 2022. And after many months of concerns if the movie was quietly cancelled. Like, that would have been a living nightmare if we lived in a world if the FNaF movie did get cancelled. Especially the fact that Scott's universe does have complicated lore, so there's that. And when me and the community first heard the news, we were very relieved and very excited that the movie was still going to be happening. Then later on, there was a user that replied to Jason who's going to be directing it, which I can't find anymore because the tweet was deleted. And Jason said this, "Unclear right now." And I was sort of disappointed that at the time we didn't know who the new director was going to be for the movie, even though I was really relieved that the movie was still going to be happening. So about 2 months later, there was an article and videos going around of one interview Jason had back in March of 2022, and Jason was discussing future films and projects including the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Like, dude, when I heard that Jason said that the FNaF movie was dangerously close, I remember losing my shit when he said this. No, seriously, I lost my shit. I was going nuts when Jason gave us another exciting update for the movie. He also said that the movie was certain to come out in 2023, and he was right. And looking back at this clip, he apparently said that Exorcist was going to be the biggest Blumhouse film of 2023. Somebody's gonna tell him. Although when some FNaF fans saw this clip, there were some fans that were like, yeah, right. And in all seriousness, I do feel very sorry for Jason when some people still didn't believe that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was still going to be happening. So about 2 months later, Jason had tweeted a small but exciting update regarding the FNaF movie, and Jason tweeted this. "Listen here, all you FNaF fanatics. Well, specifically the doubters. Stop doubting. And I remember when Jason posted this is when I started to get even more excited for the movie. And looking back to the old stuff back in 2022 so far, it's crazy that we had a lot of exciting updates for the movie that year. Especially when the movie was officially going to be filming 1 year later at the time. And looking back at Jason's post, there was a person that replied to Jason by saying, "Please make it as horrific as it's intended to be." And Jason actually did respond, and Jason tweeted out this message: "It will be." Although looking back at this response 2 years later, this response so didn't age well. But we'll get back to that shortly. So around this time, it took a little while to have new news and updates for the movie. But later on August 9, 2022, we got exciting news that none of us really expected to happen for the movie. Especially about a certain amazing company that were able to bring Freddy and his friends to life in the movie. On August 9th, 2022, a day after Five Nights at Freddy's celebrated its 8-year anniversary, Jason Blum tweeted out first exclusive look on the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, and Jason Blum tweeted out this message: "It's great to be working with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Their experience and expertise with animatronics is absolutely killer. At Blumhouse." In an unexpected surprise, Jason Blum announced that the Jim Henson Company and Jim Henson's Creature Shop are going to build Freddy and the gang for the movie. The fact that the Jim Henson Company still had the contract with the movie back when Gil was originally going to direct the movie all the way back in 2015, and the fact that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie got partnered up with the Jim Henson Company, and the fact that Scott got to work with the Jim Henson Company and seeing his characters come to life, that is insane. It's been like 2 years already since this was announced, and I still can't believe it. And when everyone heard about the Jim Henson Company officially being involved for the movie, people were actually really excited about it. And also, as a Jim Henson fan, a Muppet fan, and a Five Nights at Freddy's fan as well, this is definitely a huge honor for me. Like again, the fact that FNaF got partnered up with the Jim Henson Company, and the fact that Freddy Fazbear is officially a part of the Jim Henson family, is absolutely insane. And I guess Freddy Fazbear is now a Jim Henson character now. So anyways, let's speculate this image, and oh my gosh, it already looks amazing. So in this image, you can see this guy at a desk building Freddy Fazbear, and as you can see, we can see Freddy's iconic hat, his feet, his ears, and if you look at the bottom left, you can actually see his head, and I'm pretty sure that's one of his arms. You can also see Freddy's pelvis, his iconic bow tie, and to everyone's sigh of relief, he's holding his iconic microphone. Also, you can see a random SpongeBob doodle for some reason. If we look very closely at this Freddy model, it looks very identical to Scott's official models from the games. Like the fact that the Jim Henson Company were possibly using Scott's official game models for these animatronics, that could mean very good things. So after this Freddy image came out, me and everyone else wondered if we were going to see behind the scene images of Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, but no, we sadly didn't see any new images of those three. Because several days later, Jason Blum had made a post about the upcoming Insidious movie, and he told us to give FNaF a break for 2 seconds. And sadly, we didn't get any new behind the scene images for the movie. And Jason, since I know for the fact you're watching this right now, why did you just reveal Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy later on? Like, dude, if I were you, I would've, I don't know, revealed Bonnie a week after Freddy was revealed, and I would've do the same for Chica and Foxy. Okay, in all seriousness, you can tell that Jason didn't want to reveal any more stuff for the movie, and I can respect him for that. And so during this time, after we got our first exclusive look on the movie, all we had to do was wait. So about a few months later, on October 5th, 2022, literally a day after we got our first poster on the Mario movie, and a day before we got our first trailer on the Mario movie, and man, I can't believe it's been 2 years already since we got our first reveal of the Mario movie. Crazy. Anyways, Jason Blum announced more news regarding the FNaF movie, and this time, not only did he remind us about Jim Henson's Creature Shop making the animatronics, but he also announced a new director for the film, and when the film was finally going to be filming. And Jason tweeted out this message. Hashtag Jim Henson's Creature Shop is working on our animatronics. Emma Tammy is our director. Filming on hashtag FNaF starts in February 2023. Boom. And I remember when Jason announced this when I was working that day. Also, yes, I was freaking out over this news while I was at work. Even my boss and my coworkers were checking on me to make sure I was okay. I'm not kidding. Then I basically calmed myself down. I said to myself, calm down, David. Calm down, David. What an exciting time it was looking back. We got news of who was finally going to direct the movie, and when the movie was finally going to be filming after the last 7 years of the time. Then 2 months later, in December of 2022, Doug was having a charity stream during Christmas time, and later on, Scott actually had awards for each donation goal to announce new actors and actresses that are going to play the human characters for the movie. And these were the people that were announced for the movie. Josh Hutcherson as Mike Schmidt, Matthew Lillard as William Afton, which I have no idea how that happened, Piper Rubio as Abby, and Mary Stuart Masterson as an unnamed female villain, which was Aunt Jane all along. Although looking back with Josh and Matthew, they were actually confirmed before Doggo had his charity stream during Christmas time. Because back in December 16, 2022, literally on Security Breach's 1-year anniversary, there was an article going around that Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard were going to play one of the lead roles. And when I heard the news, I'm not joking when I say this, I was like, who the heck is Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard? Yeah, I know most of you are shocked that at the time I had no idea who they were. About a month and a half later, we got more casting news that Elizabeth Lail will be playing as Officer Vanessa in the movie. And dude, I remember when the community was freaking out if it was either Vanessa from Security Breach or a completely different Vanessa. Also, seeing Elizabeth and Vanessa side by side, I mean, Elizabeth looks just like her. And okay, here we go. On February 1st, 2023, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie would finally start filming. And this was a big day to be a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. And we even got our first behind the scenes look for the movie, and we see a clapper of the movie's production name, which was called Bad Cupcake. And looking back, I could definitely see why they named the movie production Bad Cupcake. So let's fast forward. On April 4th, 2023, Jason had tweeted a simple but exciting tweet that said, tomorrow. And this was even after the movie just finished filming. And dude, people went nuts after Jason posted this. Then the next day, Jason hilariously posted images of flowers. Then about an hour later, I believe, he actually announced an official release date for the movie. He even did a little FNaF 4 reference on the tweet. Then later, in the exact same night, we got our first HD look on the FNaF movie outside of the pizzeria, Abby, and our first look at Golden Freddy. And dude, when I saw this image, I was literally crying when this image came out. No, seriously, I was crying. I was even crying tears of joy and emotion. And what we saw of Golden Freddy so far, even though it was only his back, like the Jim Henson Company did an amazing job with Golden Freddy. And it feels like April of last year all over again, looking back at. And this image even came out when it was almost the 8-year anniversary when the movie was finally pitched. Like, look how far we've come. So anyways, after the movie was done filming, and after we got our first look on the movie, all what me and the community had to do was wait. And wait we did. But then about a month later, something unexpected just happened for the movie, which was really rough for Scott, Universal, and Blumhouse. Okay, so for this chapter is going to be pretty short. So on May 6, 2023, apparently someone had leaked the official Five Nights at Freddy's movie trailer literally 11 days before we got a poster and a teaser trailer, and a month and a half when the full-length trailer was released. And I remember when me, my big brother Josh, and one of my BFFs Dylan were at a nature walk when this happened. And so during this situation, the leaked trailer was popping out everywhere, but thankfully, Universal were able to do a decent job of taking down the leaked trailer right after it was leaked. Also, Scott did make a response about the situation on Reddit, and apparently he was at an amusement park when this happened. And looking back at this, I do feel really bad for Scott, Jason, Emma, Blumhouse, Universal, and every cast and crew member that worked on this movie. Also, Scott even told the fanbase to not watch the leaked trailer, and told us to wait for the finished full-length trailer to be released. And Scott, if you're watching this, yes, I watched the leaked trailer. Look, I couldn't help it, I'm sorry. And looking back at the leaked trailer, even while I was at a nature walk, I was blown away by it, even though the quality was basically terrible. So yeah, this was basically a quick chapter I wanted to do. Especially the original leaked trailer is a part of the FNaF movie's history. Anyways, let's move on to the next chapter. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. On May 16, 2023, out of nowhere, Jason Blum had tweeted out a word 3, and yes, FNaF fans were going nuts if we were going to see a reveal for the movie. Also, some people thought something was going to happen in 3 days or 3 hours, but then about an hour later, Jason posted 2 on Twitter, and the community was going nuts. Then another hour, Jason tweeted 1, and again, an hour later, we got our first official look of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Mr. Cupcake, and Foxy for the movie. And I literally almost cried when this poster came out. I'm not kidding. Also, when the fans first saw the animatronics revealed, people went nuts and were very impressed how the Jim Henson Company were able to bring Freddy and the gang to life, even have them done practically and not CGI. So later on, Jason teased the fans if they wanted more stuff for the film, and apparently Dalko and some other YouTubers got the trailer early, and apparently reacted to them before it was time for Blumhouse to release the poster and teaser trailer. And then, shortly after, we got our first teaser trailer for the movie, and the response to this teaser trailer was fantastic. While everyone was really excited for this movie after we got our first poster and teaser for it, there was one itsy-bitsy argument the community had. The red eyes. Okay, so long story short, when we had our first reveal of the animatronics when the poster came out, people were making hilarious arguments that the red eyes make the animatronics look like they were smoking cigarettes. Also, when I saw some comments of people saying Freddy and the gang looked like they were smoking cigarettes, and when people made an edit of Freddy having a cigarette in his mouth while having red eyes, I immediately made an SFM animation where Bonnie has red eyes and having a cigarette out his hand, and I even used an audio from Family Guy. And for those of you that had seen that animation that was stolen on TikTok, for example, yes, I animated that. Although I really wish I added my own watermark on that animation. I really wish I did. If the toy animatronics and the withered animatronics have red eyes, I'm not going to be surprised if people are going to argue over the red eyes again. And I'm definitely going to make a FNaF 2 version of the red eye animation I did last year. And this time, I'll add my own watermark. And the only positive thing that came from the red eyes arguments were just the memes of Freddy and the gang smoking cigarettes and other hilarious things the community did with Freddy and the gang having red eyes. And dude, it feels like May of last year all over again looking back at this. Anyways, about a month and a half later, we got our first full-length trailer for the movie, and little funny story, this was pretty much the same trailer that was leaked back in May of last year, but with different footage. And this trailer right here was where everyone got hyped for the movie even more, because we got to see more scenes with the animatronics, some familiar Easter eggs from the games, more of Mike and Abby, William Afton, and of course, Corey X Kitchen and Golden Freddy. And I remember everyone going nuts when Corey showed up as a cameo for the movie. And I remember when people thought Markiplier was going to be in the film, but sadly, Mark announced that he wasn't involved for the movie. Then about 2 months later, in August of 2023, we got our final full-length trailer for the movie, and not only that, but Darko, the Ryans, and Razabowski showed some photos of them with the animatronics. Blumhouse also revealed new posters of Freddy, Barney, Chica, Foxy, and Mr. Cupcake, while referencing the Into the Pit book cover. Like, that was amazing that they referenced the Into the Pit book cover as official movie posters. Although, I don't know why they didn't make a poster of William Afton wearing his spring Barney suit while in the ball pit. But whatever. Also, around October, Jason Blum and Emma Tammy were at San Diego Comic-Con as a part of the FNaF movie event. And Jason and Emma asked a bunch of questions and some exciting stuff about the movie. Also, remember when I said that the Jim Henson Company were possibly using Scott's official models for the animatronics? Well, it turns out I was right. In the interview, while Emma was talking about wanting to make the animatronic characters practically and hire Jim Henson's Creature Shop to do the animatronics, Scott apparently did send his official character designs to Jason, Emma, and the Jim Henson Company. And Emma was even figuring out how the fabric was going to look and feel for each animatronic, and figure out movements each animatronic was going to have. Like, the fact that Scott was very comfortable for sending his official game designs for the Jim Henson Company, that's amazing. Although, can you imagine Jim Henson's Creature Shop using fan models for the animatronics? That would have been horrible if they did that. Also, there was one sweet thing that Jason said, that it took Emma to be the perfect director for the movie, and she was the one that made the movie possible. And I agree with that. The movie wouldn't really be saved if Emma wasn't the only perfect director for the movie. And that was really sweet of Jason saying that. Now, time to get to the next chapter where we talk about the movie finally coming out. Alright, on October 27, 2023, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie finally comes out in both theaters and Peacock. And I remember when me and the community were very concerned about that, because we thought that meant that most people weren't going to see the movie in theaters, but instead streaming. Well, don't you worry, folks, because way more people saw this movie in theaters. And the movie literally made almost $300 million worldwide. It's now the highest film Blumhouse ever did. It even won the highest horror film of 2023. And it even apparently beat in the Mario movie's opening day, which is insane. Although I wish the Five Nights at Freddy's movie beat the Mario movie at the box office. I really wish it did. Because let's be real, Freddy is just as popular as Mario. Let's be real here. Also, the budget for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was $25 million. Let me just run that by you again. $25 million. And there was no way this movie was going to have a $100 million budget. There was absolutely no way. Like, the fact that this movie had a decent cheap budget, that's amazing. Although once the film finally came out, even in some early premieres, and once the critics' score came out, critics, let's just say, didn't like it. Even when fans saw this, fans were, let's just say, very concerned about this, including me. However, once the audience score came out, many people were really surprised that most people were actually enjoying it. Even Jason Blum himself made fun of the critics not liking it, and even thanked the audience that enjoyed it by posting this on Twitter. Jason, you sly man! And on the exact same day on the 27th, I got to see the movie on day 1, and I was even wearing my FNaF outfit to set in the mood. And I even brought in one of my BFFs, Charles and Joey. Shout out to them, by the way. And also my big brother Josh and my dad both saw the movie together. And I remember when I went to my local theater, I remember there were a lot of people wearing FNaF shirts. And I even saw someone cosplay as Roxanne Wolf right after I saw the movie. And for my honest opinion on this movie, I will say, it's a good movie. I liked it. I enjoyed it. And yeah, can you believe it? Me liking a movie that some FNaF fans and most movie critics don't like? And let me say this real quick. If you don't like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, that is perfectly okay. And we can both argue that the movie wasn't too scary, and there were a few things they could have done better, even for a PG-13 rating. Now, time to quickly make my short review on the movie. Now look, I know the movie isn't perfect, but this movie was clearly made for me and the fans, and that's a fact. And this movie is not only a love letter to the fans, but the franchise as a whole. And that is something. And I just loved about almost every single thing in this movie. I loved the opening scene of the previous Night Guard, and when Foxy started singing a few minutes after the movie started, I literally had goosebumps. I even had the feels, man. Especially the fact later on, we found out that Kellen Goff, the voice of Funtime Freddy, and many more did sing as Foxy in the movie. Like, the fact that Kellen was the very first OG FNaF voice actor to be in the movie, even for the cinematic universe, that is insane. Also, hi Kellen if you're watching this. Anyways, back to my short review. I love the introduction of Mike and Abby. Seeing Chica's magic rainbow in the ice cream store was really cool. I really enjoyed the scene of Mike and William. The dream sequences were dark and spooky. And I really loved the introduction when we get to the pizzeria. Besides the opening in the movie. I loved the Balloon Boy jump scares, and I remember when the first two got me. And I even saw a spoiler where Balloon Boy jump scares Corey as an after credit scene, and I knew that Balloon Boy was going to be in the movie. Even on the second trailer, there was even a tease of him. I enjoyed the Vanessa introduction. Seeing the animatronics perform on stage was really amazing. And I even almost had a tear in my eye when I first saw the movie. I'm not kidding. Seeing MatPat have a cameo was really sweet. Also, see you on the flip side, Matt. I hope you're enjoying your retirement. I loved the breaking in scene. Seeing Shadow Freddy and freaking Sparky the dog was unexpected. Like, dude, the fact they made a big deal of adding a FNaF fan character in an official movie, that is crazy that they did that. Abby introducing Mike to the animatronics was fun. Abby giving Freddy a hug was something I didn't know I needed. Even a few minutes later in the movie, Abby also high-fives Freddy Fazbear. Like, that was also something I didn't know I needed. I loved the building fort scene. And one of the funniest parts for me was when Bonnie falls on his back and giving a thumbs up. Like, I laughed so hard at that. Seeing the Fazbear Frights version of Ella was really cool. Also, one quick thing I want to mention is that Shadow Freddy and Sparky the dog appeared one more time right when Mike got out of the torture device. And just like how Shadow Freddy and Sparky appeared again on screen, Ella also appeared one more time around the end of the movie. That made me really happy. Mike and the torture device was heart pumping. Seeing Corey have a cameo was amazing. And I remember losing my when Vanessa said that William Afton is her father. I loved the Fred's transforming into Foxy scene. Like, they really didn't have to make that scene that hard, even for a FNaF movie. I also enjoyed the scene of Foxy searching for Abby in the arcade. Like, that scene was freaking heart pumping. Like, oh. Seeing William Afton appearing in a spring bodysuit was absolute cinema. I loved the spring lock scene, and even the final scene with Mike and Abby was really touching and sweet. And the last two things I enjoyed was that Golden Freddy's spirit, which is not Cassidy, shutting the door on William while William is tortured in the spring locks, and hearing the Five Nights at Freddy's Living Tombstone song in the credits was amazing. So yeah, a really fun and entertaining movie for the fans. But how the heck do you not have a Scott Cawthon cameo? The movie had a high chance of Scott showing up in the movie, and they couldn't even do that. Like, Scott literally could have had a Stanley-like cameo for the first movie. Also, don't give me any excuses if Scott was too camera shy for the movie. Scott made a big deal of showing up in one of the endings of MatPat's final game theory video. So Scott was definitely not camera shy. Don't give me that. That was absolutely not the reason why Scott didn't have a cameo in the first movie. Okay, calm down, David. Calm down. Okay, in all seriousness, I'm pretty much okay with Scott not having a cameo in the first movie. But like, dude, it would have been very emotional to see Scott have a cameo, man. Like, if he did show up in the movie, I would have gone up in my seat, started clapping, and having tears of joy. Also, not only do I wish he had a Stan Lee-like cameo, but I also wish he had a cameo that was similar to Charles Martinet's cameo in the Mario movie. Like Scott randomly appearing at Sparky's diner while wearing his glasses and his iconic green suit. Like, dude, that would have been amazing to see. But who knows, since Scott made a big deal of appearing in one of the endings of MatPat's final game theory video, maybe Scott will have a cameo for the next movie. Or heck, maybe he'll play a character. Like, who knows? So, after the film's theatrical release, even though it was also streaming on Peacock, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie made almost $300 million at the box office. And it even became the most successful horror film of 2023. And success, you say? You know what that means? Blumhouse and Universal sure do. And you know what that also means for Jim Henson's Creature Shop? They also sure do. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jim Henson Company did come back for the next movie. So on April 9th, 2024, literally a day before my birthday, Jason Blum tweeted out first look on Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and Jason tweeted out this message. Jim Henson's Creature Shop is working their magic again. We aren't sure what they're working on, but we know it will be great. And Jason, you know exactly what they're doing, my friend. So anyways, we have this guy designing Mangle, and this figurine of Mangle already looks fantastic. And if you look all the way to the left, you can see another familiar character. And that's right guys, it's Toy Bonnie, my friends. So about a day later on my birthday, it was announced that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is scheduled to come out next fall. Well, technically it comes out in December, but yeah, you guys get the point. And looking back at this, I was not expecting FNaF Movie 2 news the day before my birthday, and on my actual birthday, like, at all. So about a month later, the official FNaF Movie Socials released a little short video of the next movie's release date, which is December 5th, 2025. Like, the fact that we're gonna get a FNaF movie during Christmas time next year, that's gonna be insane. Also, later on, it was announced that the movie was going to be filming this past July, but then it got delayed. So instead of the movie filming in July of 2024, the movie will instead be filming in August 28th, 2024, 3 days after this video's upload. And in all honesty, I didn't care less how long it was going to take for the next movie to be filming. Like, as long as the Jim Henson Company didn't rush the new animatronics, and as long as Scott, Jason, and Emma are perfectly happy with the script and the story, that's all that matters. And let's fast forward on August 4th, 2024, Darko uploaded a new Scott Cawthon interview, which was a part of Five Nights at Freddy's 10-year anniversary event. Please go watch that. Anyways, not only did Scott talk about Steele handling his franchise, even the Into the Pit game, the movie, and some other stuff, but he also announced a possible Fazbear Frights TV show. Also, I haven't read the final Fazbear Frights stories yet. No spoilers, please! And I'm currently reading Tales from the Pizzaplex stories. And at the time of making this script, I recently read the Nexie story, and I liked it. Even though the ending was really dark. Ugh. Like, the fact that we're gonna get an official FNaF TV show to expand the cinematic universe, even after how massively successful the first movie was, that could also mean very exciting things for the FNaF franchise. And I won't be surprised if the FNaF cinematic universe will also have the same treatment as the Sonic cinematic universe. Also, during the franchise's 10-year anniversary, we got more behind-the-scenes images for the next movie, and what we've seen of the new animatronics so far, they already look fantastic. We've gotten reveals of Mangle, Toy Bonnie, Toy Freddy, Toy Chica. And looking back at Toy Chica, Scott, Jason, and Emma are definitely not ready to see Toy Chica fans in the theater. Scott's sitting in a packed theater with Toy Chica fans! And it was weird that Toy Bonnie was revealed like 4 times. I'm not joking about this. We literally had 4 teasers where Toy Bonnie was revealed. We got teasers where we see a figurine of his legs, his eyes, his face, and even one more image where we see an early development of Toy Bonnie's head being created, with his eyes and ears being added. I think Toy Bonnie might have one of the biggest roles in the next movie. I'm pretty sure that's the reason why Toy Bonnie was revealed like 4 times now. Also, me and the fans did not expect this, but we're actually going to see the FNaF 2 Withereds for the next movie, because we got reveals of Withered Bonnie, Withered Foxy, Withered Freddy, and Withered Chica. And we're definitely not ready to see Withered Chica on the big screen. And this is definitely going to be me in the theater seeing Withered Chica on the big screen. Also, sadly we didn't have any reveals of Balloon Boy or Marionette, unless if they want to reveal those later. Also, a few days ago at the time I'm typing this, it was announced that a third Five Nights at Freddy's movie is already in early development. And also, some people were concerned about Blumhouse already making a third movie, while the second movie isn't even out yet. And let me say this real quick. Don't worry about it, guys. We'll be fine. And besides, Scott will always still be involved for future movies and TV shows, and even on his recent interview, he even said he wants to be very careful for making more movies and TV shows. So don't worry, guys. We'll be fine. Also, later on when John, aka FNaF, was doing a charity stream for a cancer donation, Scott actually did show up and donated $10,000. Absolute legend. Also, he quickly announced that he released more images regarding the movie very soon. So get ready, everyone. So, looking back at every single news and updates for the FNaF movie, this has been one heck of an 8-year roller coaster ride for this movie. From a few directors stepping down, multiple scripts being thrown away, multiple delays, and some dilemma with the story of the FNaF movie is absolutely one of the best filming development stories in history. Like, the fact that this movie was still massively successful after cooking in the oven for 8 years, like, that is insane. And looking back with FNaF Movie 2, Scott announcing a possible Fazbear Frights TV show, and a third movie already in early development at the time I'm recording this, all of these would absolutely not have happened without the movie's success, and if Emma Tammy wasn't the director for the first movie. And not only was Emma able to make the movie finally happen, especially the fact that the movie was almost cancelled, but she also started a cinematic universe for the FNaF franchise, and already gave the franchise a big promising future. And even Jason himself said that it took only Emma to be the perfect director, and was able to make the movie finally work out. So bravo to Emma, Scott, Jason, and everyone at Blumhouse, Universal, and the Jim Henson Company for doing such a great job with the first movie, and making something enjoyable for the fans. Again, I know the movie isn't perfect, but you can tell that everyone that was involved with the first movie and the future are definitely going to improve with future movies, TV shows, and beyond. And the FNaF movie was also a movie theater experience I'll never forget. And that, my friends, was how the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was saved. Also, let's pause for a moment and think back to the crazy 8-year ride most of us fans experienced, shall we? Alright, that's enough. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my history video on this movie. Now, I know I probably mumbled a lot, but I try my best not to talk too long and try to talk about some things less for a while. Also, one last thing before I go. While I was working on this video, apparently some FNaF VAs, including Matthew Lillard, John, and even Doggo, are apparently going to do a live stream, which they'll be signing autographs, play Security Breach, and even ask some questions. And I was originally going to upload this on the 27th of this month, but I decided to release this video 2 days early. I'm nicer that way, you know? And I also wanted to quickly announce this to you guys as well. And I'm sure that Doggo, John, and the VAs would really love all of your support. And I just realized something. FNaF Movie 2 films 3 days of this video's upload, and the VAs are going to be live streaming on the 26th, a day before the first film's 1-year anniversary. Wait a minute. Not only are they going to live stream before the next film's filming, but I think that Scott may post some news on the stream like back in Doggo's Christmas stream from almost 2 years ago. Which could mean that we might get more FNaF 2 news during the signing stream. And that means the voice actors may hint if they're going to be in the movie. Also, no guys, I'm not confirming anything. I'm just speculating. That's all. Although I do have a feeling that Scott will announce new casting news during the stream. And now if you guys excuse me, I'm going to start getting my Andy Field and Matthew Lillard autographs. See you guys later. Bye. Hello guys, Editor Me here. So while I was making my scripts, we recently got some exciting news from Josh Hutcherson and Matthew Lillard. And while I was editing this video, we recently got some really exciting news regarding the movie. Alright, here we go. Several weeks ago now, Josh said he will return as Mike Schmidt for the next movie, and he even said what the future will hold for Mike in future movies and maybe shows are endless. And he also announced that not only more animatronics will be brought in, but he also announced that the fans are going to love and flip on this movie, and he said Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will be a lot more scarier. And as for Matthew, several weeks ago now, even while I'm typing this, he said he'll be involved in filming this November. He also said that the script for the next movie is fantastic, and he said that him and everyone in the cast and crew are really excited where the movie is at right now. This also means that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 could be really good. So get ready, everyone. Also, while I was editing this video, we got the news from Matthew saying that the movie is actually going to be filming on October 27th, 2 days after this video's upload. Like, the fact that the next movie will be filming on the same day on the anniversary of the first film's release, and filming a day early now, that's going to be insane. And recently, we got our first exclusive look on FNaF Movie 2, and we got our first exclusive look on Toy Freddy, and oh my gosh, he already looks fantastic. So as you can see, Toy Freddy has got these amazing shiny textures, and as for his eyelids were apparently recolored. I'm not really a fan of Toy Freddy having blue eyelids now, but I ain't complaining. And it makes me wonder if the toys and the Wizards will have a few changes, while sticking to Scott's original designs. And as for Toy Freddy's hat, it's got these really nice textures that it looks like it came straight from the games. Like the fact that Jim Henson's Creature Shop were able to replicate Scott's textures from the games, that is amazing. Also, since I mentioned the voice actors having a sign and autograph stream, which will be a day before the first film's anniversary, and the next movie filming on the same day, which is the 27th, this is definitely going to be Andy, Heather, Morta, Kellen, Cameron, and Astrid when me and the community ask them if they'll be involved in the next movie or not. Will you guys be involved in the next Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Yep! This is definitely going to be the voice actors when people ask them if they'll be in FNaF Movie 2. Anyways, this was just something I wanted to quickly talk about while I was pretty much done editing this video. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Also, before I go, please like, comment, and subscribe. And get ready for FNaF Movie 2, everyone, because I know this movie is going to be amazing. See you guys later. Bye!